makes a cash for kids system, and that's why the families are losing these children. They're also setting up fraud against the cart. It was finally found out in federal case number 15-55563 that fraud upon the court is very persuasive in the Children's Administration, and they're taking children fraudulently for money. I believe it's a CAPTA violation. Anyway, the other announcement I was going to make today was that tomorrow, which is Monday, I'm going to be holding a class inside of the Russell Building, one of the Senate Congress buildings. It's the Russell Building, which is sandwiched between the Hart and the Russell. We're going to meet there at the coffee shop in the basement at 8 a.m. And I'm going to give a quick lesson on how to talk to your senator. And I'm just going to give you exact information, where to go, who to talk to, and how to talk to them, and how to get appointments with them. And then this is the fun part. Everybody's going to go out and talk to their senators. I'm going to show them how to do it, where they're located at. Then we're all going to meet next at 1 o'clock at the Senate buffet, and we're going to go Facebook Live with our stories of the day. So wherever you are tomorrow, if you want to come to the Senate buffet at 1 o'clock, the buffet is about $20. It's fairly expensive, but it's the best buffet in D.C. And share your Facebook Live stories with us. So I just wanted to go ahead and announce that. And I also wanted to let you know that Connie's here too. And Connie, would you like to say a word or two?
Absolutely.
Okay. And here comes Connie.
I need a person. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let me get it down.
Okay, when you're done, you can just announce me then.
Okay. Okay, it's already on.
Is it on? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
it is. You're good.
It's on. Okay, good. Hey, how are you guys today? Thank you for walking by. So we are here in Washington, D.C. This is September the 8th, 2019. We are here because of the tragedy that's happening in our very own country. I'm sure that many of you have heard on the news about children being separated from their parents at the border, immigrants who crossed the border, and a lot of noise was made in mainstream media. And what they don't talk about is that every day in the United States of America, 500,000 children are removed from their families and placed in the foster care, group home, mental health facilities, all for profit on your tax dollars. Okay, it's so important that you understand that this is a scheme of the American government. It started in 1974 when Mondale entered the Mondale Act, also known as CAPTA, the Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act. That was the first time that our federal government really started pouring money into the states for child welfare. Sounded like a good idea at the time, but what they did is they started picking up children and putting them in foster homes and losing them. They had no way to even keep track of them. They had nothing to do with them. Children aging out of the foster care system totally stripped of familial contacts. In 1997, while Bill and Hillary Clinton were in the White House, ASFA passed, the Adoption and Safe Families Act. Sounded like a good idea at the time because of all the children being lost in the foster care system. They wanted a way to find permanency for the children. And so they created a tax bonus scheme. So what happens now is that your state agencies, all working with your tax dollars, your hard-earned tax money, you work hard to have an income, they tax you, they use your money. This is your government. They are supposed to be working for you. Under ASFA, they created a bonus scheme, $10,000, $12,000 per child, that is placed into the home of strangers and adopted out and have lost their family contacts forever. Forever. And then not only that, but they provide for entitlement money on the adoptions, so that once you've adopted those children out of foster care, you get money until they turn age 18. It has become a financial scheme. The adoption entitlement money is now outweighed and outburdened us over the child welfare money. They are rehoming our children. They are social engineering. Government social engineering is exactly what it is. They think they can find a better home for your children. They take children out of hospitals, babies who never have the opportunity to bond with their mothers, and deliver them to strangers. This cannot continue. We have, in the United States of America, a tragic history of human rights violations. We had slavery, we had the trains the orphan trains, that they would put children out of the cities on trains and send them to the Midwest where they could be picked up by strangers and create new families. We had mental institutions that people got locked into. We can no longer ignore this. We are the most advanced, wealthiest country in the world. And if this has not affected your life, if you walk by here and you say, not in my backyard, so I don't care, you're making a big mistake. Because I can promise you, within 3 degrees of separation of the people that you know, somebody has been affected by foster care. And perhaps it's somebody that you work with who was a child of the foster care system and is too embarrassed and too ashamed to talk about it. You need to open the dialogue. Open the dialogue. What do you want to know about our children who are being taken? This is not just a United States problem. This is an international financing scheme. Yesterday was International Protest Day against Child Protective Services, and they marched on the streets of Norway because the children were so many children are stolen from the homes in Norway. You can go on YouTube, please go on YouTube and type in Child Protective Services, CPS corruption. They took my children. You will find not only the 85 videos that I have posted, but you will see videos pop up from all over the world. Great Britain, Israel, Norway, Australia, Germany, Italy. Watch the news. In the news that finally came out in Italy, they were taking children and coercing them into lying against their parents so that they could keep them under government control. Any given day of the year, the United States of America, 500,000 children are in out-of-home placement. Out-of-home placement. Every one of those children has parents and grandparents and cousins and nephews and neighbors. This affects the lives of millions of America. And they target the people who don't have the resources to go hire the best attorneys in their state or their county so that they can override them. This is government manipulation, government corruption, government control, worse, and I dare to say this, but worse than the Nazi government, because they are taking our children who have no voices. They have no voice. This is America. You must speak up. You must find out what's going on. Please, please educate yourselves on what is happening. It is a cry. It is a cry of the mouths of children who cannot speak for themselves. So please, watch the news, Google, look up children abused in foster care, look up class action lawsuits on foster care, look up cases where in California a woman drove off the side of a cliff with 8 children she had adopted out of foster care and killed them all. Children are more likely to be abused in foster care than they are if they are returned to their own home. You have broken those bonds. You have created separation anxiety that is worse than wartime PTSD. The neurons in a child's brain, which are trying to develop to understand safety, security, relationships, those are broken forever. Forever. The anxiety that you create. There are no resources for treating and helping children and families while they are in their home. This affects children with autism, children who have behavioral problems, children who have medical issues. There are children's hospitals across this country that are calling CPS on parents because they get money from the state to do so. They get, in my state, the state of Tennessee, Nashville, Vanderbilt Children's Hospital gets $2.5 million per year from the Department of Children's Services, and they turn over children to CPS. We can no longer tolerate this. We have the statistics. We know there are worse outcomes. We know those children are more likely to end up in prison, in poverty, in broken homes, without fathers. We know it does not work. Out-of-home placement for children does not work. The numbers are out there. Our government officials know it. Please, I pray that you just Google it. You just watch the news feeds of what is happening to children in care. Ask questions. Make it table talk conversation. As an attorney with 25 years of practice, I have seen hundreds of families destroyed. I finally got weary and weak of telling the story myself, because when I would go and I would talk to legislators or I would talk to politicians, they would look at me and stare at me and say, basically I was just trying to defend some poor abusive parent, and they didn't get it. And so we created a group on Facebook called the Family Forward Project for Child Welfare Reform. It has grown to 13,000 members all over the world and still growing. And if we can't find them on Facebook, they can find us through YouTube. Go on YouTube and type in my name, Connie Reguli, Reguli, and you will see video after video after video of me educating the public, speaking in public forums, trying to bring federal lawsuits, and talking to parents every day about what is happening. You must protect your child. Your child could go to school one day and not come home.
Yep.
A social worker can walk into a public school and take this young man here, who I have grandchildren that same size right there. They could walk into a public school, they could take your child into a private room and interrogate your child and not record it, not notify you, and take your child away. And he would not come home from school that day. And you may never see him again. We can no longer do this. We cannot do it. So please, we are here. We've come from all over the country. There are many more of us that don't have the resources to get here, but they're watching right now. So please educate yourself. Please become active. Please look what we're doing in our group. Please watch the news. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Yay. Thank you.
We're going back to music. Joyce is now going to sing to us, and not only has her heart been broken about the things that have occurred with her children, but she has made music to warm and soothe our souls about this terrible tragedy. And thank you, Joyce, for being here.
Thank you. Yay.
Thank you. I'm Joyce DuBois, and I am so pleased to be here today. I'm so happy for everybody that came and everybody that's listening and didn't know that they were going to be hearing about this shocking news for many people, but that's because we are often gagged in family courts, which is against the First Amendment in the Constitution. So